She bursts into the apartment, tries to intervene, but the man easily disarms her and stabs her. Across the street, a detective sees the door open, enters, and spots the struggle through the window. He shoots the attacker just before the next blow lands. As the man dies, he mutters something about the vanishing lines. He can see them too. Hyun-hoop pulls back the cardboard taped over her window. Outside, a man in a car marked with eerie red lines stretching from his head tries to lure a schoolgirl inside. On the opposite side of the street, a woman casually vaping bears similar crimson strands drifting from her skull. Inside her dim apartment, Hyun-hoop sits silently, face hidden behind oversized sunglasses. She's always seen these lines since she was a child. Back then, she didn't understand them, but she drew them anyway, over and over. One day, her mother finally discovered that her father had cheated by the lines and killed him. Now, Hyun-hoop avoids eye contact with the world, choosing silence and shadows. She's tried to escape, even considered ending it, but something holds her back. Curiosity, maybe. Who made these lines? And is she really the only one who sees them? Detective Han vents about babysitting his niece, brushing off a colleague's teasing about what he'd do with her if he ever settled down. In truth, he's tangled in a quiet affair with another officer, one who's already engaged. Meanwhile, his niece, Se-on-A, faces trouble of her own. Rumors swirl at school that she snitched to her uncle about the bullies, making her even more of a target. While Han inspects a suspicious death, Hyun-hoop receives another fruit basket from the neighbor she barely knows. On the news, a report about the murder airs, and one man catches her attention. Unlike others, he has only one red line. That's rare. Later, she sees the same man again, standing outside. At first, she assumes he's the killer, but then she sees him welcomed by her neighbor. A new red line forms between them. Se-on-A skips class. She asks her uncle for cash, a desperate attempt to appease the girls tormenting her. Han hands her the contents of his wallet, quickly noticing the bruises she won't explain. As he smokes by the window, he spots the apartment across the street. Part of the cardboard from the window is gone. Hyun-hoop's doing. Just then, a call comes in, a report from their block. Without a word, he crosses the street. When Han arrives at the door, red S-shaped lines trailing all over him, Hyun-hoop hesitates. A neighbor comments that she's famously antisocial and rarely opens up to anyone. But this time, she does, just long enough to explain the accidental emergency call. The door closes just as quickly. Not long after, another delivery arrives. This man, too, bears only a single line. Back at the station, Han and his partner, Dong-ji, start connecting dots. Too many strange coincidences in one place. Before they can act, Han's phone rings. His father's gone missing. He finds him standing on the hospital roof, clearly unwell. While Han rushes there, Dong-ji continues the investigation alone and gets ambushed. From her window, Hyun-hoop sees the single-line man again, this time staring at her neighbor's door. She watches him attack. Grabbing a kitchen knife and her sunglasses, she tries to intervene, but collapses outside, paralyzed by fear. Inside, the neighbor recognizes her attacker, Jung-min. He tries to strangle her. Hyun-hoop finally makes it into the apartment, but he disarms her with ease and stabs her. Across the street, Han notices her door wide open. He enters, discovering her eerie S-line diagrams. Then he glances out the window and spots the struggle happening next door. Han acts fast, shooting Jung-min before another blow can land. As Jung-min fades, he mutters about the vanishing lines. Hyun-hoop suspects his glasses were the key. Maybe he saw what she's seen all her life. Later, a message pings on her phone. Someone else claims they can see it too. A new teacher, Kyu-jin, arrives at the school in a car that needs a push from students due to its sluggish pace. Se-on-A, Detective Han's niece, attends the same school. She notes that even she bears a red line. At home, Hyun-hoop clears the cardboard from her windows and begins cleaning. Back at school, Se-on-A attempts to fight her bully, but is stopped when Kyu-jin intervenes and separates them. After being reprimanded for fighting, Se-on-A prepares to head home. Before leaving, she discovers a pair of glasses tucked inside her locker. Detective Han Ji-wook, still uneasy about the case, returns to the killer's apartment. There, he finds a wall covered in red lines. At the same time, Se-on-A tries on the glasses and sees a line above her own head. When Ji-wook returns home, she's startled by the overwhelming number of lines trailing him. Out on the street, they tower above nearly everyone. The next day, Se-on-A wears the glasses to school and begins noticing connections between people, some unexpected, including one linking a teacher and a student. She's surprised to see her homeroom teacher, Kyu-jin, has no lines at all. Then, a new student is introduced to the class, Hyun-hoop. Meanwhile, Ji-wook reviews crime scene photos and notices the killer once wore glasses, though they're missing from the evidence. He visits the school to ask Kyu-jin if Jung-min regularly wore them. On the rooftop, Se-on-A confronts her bully again, only to be attacked. Hyun-hoop intervenes, stopping the assault with force. Later, Ji-wook follows another lead to a bar Jung-min used to visit. The bartender recalls him drinking alone, counting out loud, and once getting into a fight over it. He also confirms Jungmin wore glasses, despite what the official records show. While walking home, Seon-A sees her bully, Hye-young, enter a hotel with a teacher. She snaps a photo and sends it to her. Hye-young replies without concern, saying the teacher will face the fallout, not her. The following day, the teacher receives the same image alongside a demand for 20 million won in cash. As Seon-A heads home, she wonders if that sum could cover a deposit for her own place. Anything to escape her current life. Elsewhere, Hyun-hup reflects on her past and questions whether her mother might still be alive. At school, the photo is spreading fast, and a new power dynamic is forming. Hyun-hup confronts Seon-A, asking if she's been using the glasses to see the red lines. She admits she can see them too, but warns Seon-A about the grim fate of the previous owner. Seon-A dismisses the warning. The teacher, now aware that Seon-A is behind the blackmail, texts her to say the money is ready. She also has plans to meet Hye-young's boyfriend, but Hye-young has overheard the conversation with Hyun-hup and now knows about the glasses. She follows Seon-A and steals them. Seon-A, unaware, wrongly assumes Hyun-hup took them. After accusing Hyun-hup, Seon-A goes to meet the teacher. As he tries to wriggle out of paying, his wife sends him the photo too, proof that his secret is out. Moments later, Hyun-hup arrives and sees Seon-A falling from the school rooftop, too late to stop it. An ambulance rushes Seon-A to the hospital. When Detective Han arrives, he finds Hyun-hup sitting outside, quiet but composed. She claims not to know much about what happened, only that she doesn't believe Seon-A jumped on her own. The next day, one teacher is notably absent. As the staff discuss recent events, Jung-woo casually remarks that he's no longer getting married when asked if there's any good news. Later, he arrives at his sister's home, planning to stay the week before moving to Canada. At the hospital, Seon-A remains unconscious, connected to a respirator. Detective Han stays close. Meanwhile, Hyun-hup quietly investigates at school. A student mentions that Hye-young, Seon-A's main bully, hasn't shown up either. Hyun-hup begins watching those wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Back at school, Jung-woo finds a pair of glasses left on his desk. He tries them on, then recoils. Red lines appear above everyone's heads. Han's, in particular, are overwhelming. Detective Han checks in with Kyu-jin about his niece and later speaks to Ji-won, the boy Seon-A had plans with. Ji-won isn't helpful. She just mentions that Seon-A left after realizing something was gone. Han reviews security footage and spots Hae-young stealing her bag. At dinner with his sister, Jung-woo explains that his relationship ended after discovering his fiancée cheated with his friend. Later, while talking with his brother-in-law, he starts suspecting there's been another affair, this time inside the same apartment complex. At the station, the department wants to label Seon-A's case an attempted unaliving to keep the school board content. Han pushes back hard, arguing with his superior. He's not buying the easy explanation. In the teacher's office, Jung-woo starts to notice strange connections between faculty members. He asks Kyu-jin what she'd do if she found someone close was being deceived. She advises caution, but admits she'd also be curious to see how it plays out. When a misdelivered package ends up at his sister's apartment, Jung-woo decides to investigate the intended recipient. But instead of confronting anyone, he and his sister revisit old wounds, specifically the pain caused by their father's infidelity. At school, a photo of Hye-young and the missing teacher starts circulating. Meanwhile, Han is called to a new case, another apparent unaliving. A handwritten will is found, but the scene looks suspicious. Han suspects the body was moved after death. After class, Hyun-hup is surprisingly open, seen chatting with classmates. Han picks her up for a talk about Seon-A. She brings up the glasses and tells him to track them down. Once he does, she'll explain. Near the apartment, Jung-woo spots his brother-in-law, supposedly away for work, dining with another woman and handing over gifts. He calls pretending to check in and sees a hotel keycard left on the table. At the hotel, Jung-woo confronts him. The man, wrapped in a robe, promises to sort things out and return to his wife. The next day, Jung-woo waits for him to call his sister, but hears nothing. Curious, he checks the woman's social media and discovers she's pregnant. Panicked, he rushes back to his sister's place, only to find her crashing her car into the other woman's. The brother-in-law arrives, but instead of going to his wife, he consoles the pregnant woman. Jung-woo lashes out, punching him. His sister pulls him back. Then the truth lands. She was the affair. The other woman is the man's actual wife, unaware of the double life he's been leading. Back at the station, Han reviews the victim's will again and suddenly has a hunch. He rushes home to check Seon-A's room. In her notebook, he finds drawings, sketches of glasses, and red lines. He contacts Hyun-hup, who confirms it. With those glasses, one can see the S lines. On the street, Hyun-hup explains the truth about the S lines, what they are, and how the glasses reveal them. Han listens, skeptical but curious. He asks whether more than one pair could exist. As they talk, he silently reflects on what it must be like for her, living in a world where every connection is visible, whether you want to see it or not. At school, an assistant wearing gold-rimmed glasses is reprimanded by a superior. Over lunch, she confides in her co-workers that she dreams of becoming an actor. That evening, in a wig and different clothes, she checks into a hotel, unaware that Hyun-hup is working there that weekend. Later, a few of Hyun-hup's friends drop by the hotel to hang out. Not long after, the assistant arrives in disguise. Despite the effort, they recognize her as someone from the school staff. Detective Han continues piecing together what led to Seon-ae's fall, focusing on the shift in her behavior after she found the glasses. Digging through case files, he reviews the details of Hyun-hup's father's death. When they speak again, Hyun-hup confirms that Seon-ae had no visible S-line links to anyone in her class. Later, while watching the news, Hyun-hup notices another violent incident. The suspect is also seen wearing gold-rimmed glasses. The possibility of multiple pairs starts to feel real. After school, Jun-seon invites Hyun-hup to a local pool. They both impulsively jump in fully clothed, then share a meal of ramyeon to warm up. She talks openly about S-lines, and he believes her. There's nothing to gain from making it up. At the hotel, the assistant, now in a wig and disguise, returns. She repeats practice lines about her history and admits to watching others through the room's peephole while wearing the glasses. This time, she spots her colleague next door with an actress. After overhearing their plans to meet again, she waits the following day. When the actress arrives, the assistant knocks her unconscious and hides her in the room. Dressed in the actress's clothes, she visits her colleague, pretending to be someone else. During their encounter, she recites rehearsed lines, holding a stapler. He begins to leave, but collapses. Now unconscious, he's moved to the bed. She quietly admits to tampering with his drink. As blood seeps across the sheets, reflected in the mirror above, she watches herself play out a fantasy, projecting the moment through performance rather than facing the reality. Later, the assistant sits in the bathtub, methodically driving staples into her limbs and face, her expression vacant. Meanwhile, the actress regains consciousness and escapes. Hyun-hup finds her stumbling through the hallway and follows her into the next room. Inside, she discovers the man dead on the bed and the assistant still in the tub, both surrounded by blood. When Detective Han arrives at the scene, he notices something missing: the glasses. Hyun-hup, watching him closely, says they always make the wearer feel special. That part never changes. Han returns later, alone. He drains the tub and finds them, gold-rimmed, soaked, but intact. He puts them on. Red lines flood his vision, his own, stretching in every direction.